So we are back and working on review for 1.1 and 1.2. This is part 3. All right, if we're given a formula or we're given an equation and then they ask us to find a specific point, this is where they're telling us what the x value is. So in that process, we can go ahead and plug in wherever we see the x in the equation. We can go ahead and replace it with whatever number they tell us. All right, so here I'm going to have 5, and I'm going to have 0 squared plus 4 times 0, which is going to get me 0. That's pretty straightforward. All right, for my f of -1, I'm going to have 5, and then I'm going to have -1 squared plus 4 times -1. All right, now I'm going to remind folks the order of operations here is going to definitely matter. Here we're going to multiply -1 times -1, which becomes a +1, which is going to help clear that up. And then here is going to be a -1. So here I'm going to have 5 plus a -4, which is going to get me a 1. All right, so here, this one is 0, 0. This one is -1, 1. For 3, I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. So I've got 5 times 3 quantity squared plus 4 times 3. All right, so again, I'm going to have to deal with my exponents before I can do any multiplication. So I've got 5 times 9 plus 4 times 3, and 45 plus 12 is going to get me 57. And so my ordered pair is going to be 3, 57. All right. In this case, it feels a little silly, but we're building up to something, and I want to make sure that we get there. So here, they're telling us that to replace the x with a t. And I know that that sounds silly just because we're replacing one variable with another, but we're going to get down to that we're dealing with the t minus 1 and actually solving things. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to just replace everything where I have an x. I'm going to replace it with a t, right? T squared plus 4 times t. All right, so that seems really straightforward. When you take a look at this one, though, it looks pretty scary. I have known people to go like, what am I supposed to do with that? Well, the first thing I recommend, if it feels overwhelming, is to actually write the equation but leave a big space instead of putting in the information. Let's do this. I'm going to leave a big blank space. We'll come back and put this in later. But for right now, we want to write the equation, you know, the parts that we know, and then we're going to replace the whatever the x is with whatever, or what the x is with whatever they have given us. So I'm going to have a t minus 1, and here I'm going to have a t minus 1. Now, keep in mind, I have to do my square root again. That is going to have to take priority. So I'm going to go ahead and work with that. I'm going to show you, this is something that I do. I like using boxes, if you guys haven't figured out. I use boxes, and this is a way to do some multiplication of when you have variables and letters and you're not sure what's all going on. So here I have a t minus 1, and I have a t minus 1. So here I'm looking at what I'm multiplying in this box. So here I've got a t times a t, so that's a t squared. And here I have a -1 times t, so that's going to be a -t. I could also say -1t, that's fine. All right, so here I have a t and a -1, so that's going to give us a -t. And here I have a -1 times a -1, that's going to get me a +1. All right, so then I'm going to collect my like terms, and I'm just going to jump in here. I'm going to do this. 5 times t squared minus, and I've got two negative t's, right? I've got this one and this one, so that's going to be a negative 2t plus 1 plus, this is where I have to be careful I don't forget it, plus this piece. So 4, and then I've got my t minus 1. Now it's a matter of distributing. Okay, so this becomes a 5t squared minus 10t plus 5 plus 4t, and that's going to be minus 4. All right, so now I'm going to go through and collect the like terms on this. All right, this was we had to deal with that in the parentheses first. Now we've gone through, we've finished that up. Now I need to collect them again. So here I've got 5t squared, right? We don't have any other t squareds in here. Here I have a negative 10t and a positive 4t. So that's going to give me a negative 6t. And here I have a 5 and a 4, and it's a negative 4. So I'm going to have 1 is my solution here. Okay, and this would be my answer. All right, that would be my answer. All right, I'm going to do this next one real briefly, and I believe we're almost done here. So I'm going to replace, and again, this is all real straightforward. I'm replacing the values, or all the variables with the values that they tell me. All right, so I've got g of 5 is going to be 5 minus 4, and then I'm going to have 5 plus 3. So I'm going to have 8, no, it's going to be 1 over 8. Getting ahead of myself. 1 over 8. All right, so 4, I'm going to have 4 minus 4, and I'm going to have 4 plus 3. So I'm going to have 0 over 7. Is that allowed? Yeah, I can have a 0 in my numerator. All that means is 0. All right. So in this case, I'd have an ordered pair of 5 and 1/8. In this case, I would have 4 and 0. All right. All right. For this next one, I'm going to have negative 3 minus 4 all over negative 3 plus 3. This is going to give me a negative 7 in the numerator, and then this is going to go to 0. And so we have to stop at this point and recognize that this is undefined. It's undefined. All right, we cannot divide by 0, and that stops this right here. In fact, we would probably, if we were writing up what our domain is, we would say all real numbers except negative 3, right? All right, so this one here, again, it's a negative 16.25, and I'm going to subtract 4, and I'm going to have negative 16.25 plus 3, and this is going to give me 20.25 over 13.25. If I wanted to make it so there were no decimals in there, I would have, that's going to be an 81/53. There we go. So 81 over 53 is what we would have if we were to take it to, so that we have whole numbers in our fraction, which is probably the better way to format that. Here, again, I have this weird thing, right? It's like, if you feel uncomfortable actually going ahead and doing it, just leave the space for it, right? So I'm going to say plus 4, or minus 4, I mean. Minus 4. Minus 4, there we go. And I'm going to leave my space, and I'm going to have plus 3. All right, so I've left my spaces. Now all that's left is for me to take these actual, this, set of variables here and plug them in. I'm going to have x minus h and x minus h. And you can leave it like that, or you can take it one step further and remove the parentheses. It would be x minus h minus 4 all over x minus h plus 3. And of course we'd have some constraint here so that this can never go to negative 3, but for the moment I'm just trying to show you how to go ahead and build that. Okay, that's it.